We're here on Blythe Ferry Road near Blythe Ferry Landing in the Birchwood community of Meigs County, just to lead into a report about the death of Meigs County Deputy R.J. Leonard and Tabitha Smith, who was in custody, and they're traveling into the river at this location on the night of February 14th of this year. As you'll note, the Highway 60 bridge is over my left shoulder, leading from this side of the river in Meigs County over to Ray County. That's where the call came in about a person running in and out of traffic that R.J. Leonard responded to. Ultimately, he took the individual in custody. We know it was Tabitha Smith. He was returning to the Meigs County Jail with her, going east back on Highway 60, and he turned on Shadden Road, which ultimately runs into Blythe Ferry Road and leads down here to this ferry landing. Now, he should have taken a right-hand turn on the eastbound end of Blythe Ferry Road to go over to Highway 58 and back to the jail. For whatever reasons, darkness, foggy conditions, difficulty with a known prisoner who had alcohol and drug issues, who was homeless, typically was involved in disorderly and even assault on a first responder at one point in their history. So we can only speculate as to that, but there were multiple factors at play here. R.J. Leonard, as you'll know from the report, was maybe not as familiar with this end of the county, and the fact that Blythe Ferry Road actually ends into a ferry landing in the river. So all sorts of factors that come into play that you can decide for yourself in looking at the summary and the report. No, they ended up in the river. The autopsy says they drowned. Tabitha Smith was in the back seat, handcuffed with the windows up. R.J. Leonard was in the driver's seat. Obviously, his driver's side window was down when the car was recovered, and his body was found just feet submerged in the water from where the car was. So take a look at our summary and report, and we hope it's informative.
County 911 location of your emergency.
We're at the Highway 60 bridge. A man just tried to walk out in front of our vehicle on the highway right before you cross the bridge to go to Davis.
Okay, so it was on the Meigs County side going towards Dayton?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, right before you get to the bridge.
Were you able to tell anything about him, like what kind of clothes he was wearing, anything like that?
Did he even have clothes on?
Yeah. He had a gray jacket or a gray hoodie on.
You said it looked like a gray jacket or a gray hoodie.
Okay.
Is there an open one?
Go ahead.
I couldn't see it because I was looking.
Seizure question.
I don't know how the car behind me didn't hit him.
What's your name, man?
Sarah Shannon.
All right, Miss Sarah, I'll get an officer out there to check it out, okay?
Alrighty, thank you. Do we need to go back?
No, you're fine to keep going, though.
Alright, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Alright, bye-bye.
807.
Captain Ron.
Agent being out to Highway 60 have reports of a male in a gray hoodie, appears to be in his mid-20s to 30s, jumping into traffic.
Captain Marvin Road.
What you're looking at here is a map of the location between R.J. Leonard's house and the Highway 60 bridge and the Blythe Ferry landing scene in southern Meigs County. Our first data point up here, A, is R.J. Leonard's home, where the call came in from dispatch at 9:30 and 56 seconds, and then he actually goes en route at 9:32 and 38 seconds, heads over east to Highway 58, and then you see the data points from the GPS device traveling southward on Highway 58 until he takes a right-hand turn towards the west on Gunstocker Road, cut off the sort of the triangle that he would otherwise have made if he went all the way down to Highway 60. So he takes a couple of back roads over to Highway 60 just east of the Birchwood community and proceeds in a west-northwesterly fashion through Birchwood until he approaches and gets up to data point B, which is on the Highway 60 bridge. There's also a data point C behind there, but he arrives on the arrest scene at 9:47 and 29 seconds.
I made contact about halfway across the bridge. It's going to be a female party. Appears to be on some sort of drugs.
10-4, I show you with contact. Go ahead.
You got Tabitha Smith, 13189.
7, got a return on Tabitha M. Smith of Decatur. She is revoked. Clear and CIC local.
10-4, could you send me a picture of that, please?
10-4.
1 in custody.
Copy, 1 in custody.
07, I'll be 10:15 in route to the SO. I have down there doesn't work, so record my time.
Good copy, show you 10-15. Highway Transport's 2158.
At this point, Deputy Leonard has Tabitha Smith in custody on the Highway 60 bridge. As he starts back and gets up to 12 miles an hour, he radios in that he's headed back with the 10 code indicating that he's headed to the jail at 9:58 and 16 seconds. So he's headed back towards the Birchwood community on Highway 60. And as he passes the Oasis Revival Center, he turns left onto Shadden Road at data point E. From here, he proceeds up Shadden Road to the junction with Blythe Ferry Road. As I've tried to describe in the report at this point, it looks like a continuation of Shadden Road, but it's Blythe Ferry Road. He should have turned right to proceed east on Blythe Ferry Road back towards 58, where he could go up to the jail in Decatur. Instead, he's heading west down this dark 2-lane road and at night, and ends up, for whatever reason or reasons, in the Tennessee River there at the end of the landing. And we have that time as 10:03 and 51 seconds according to his GPS device.
Water.
Last unit, 10 knots.
Saying I be playing on the radio.
Eight 820 status.
820 is clear. I think it's 7.
Eight 807. Are you 10-4 and what's your 20? All units, I can't get him by phone either.
The effort to determine what happened to Deputy R.J. Leonard began almost immediately after dispatch was unable to establish contact with him. Local law enforcement and first responders were contacted, and the search began immediately, with surrounding agencies responding as well, along with state, federal law enforcement, and first responders. The command center was set up at the Oasis Center at the intersection of Highway 60 and Shadden Road. It was not until sometime later, through the triangulation of Leonard's cell phone, that we were able to determine his patrol vehicle was in the water off of Blythe Ferry Landing. It took until daylight for divers to go in and hook to the car. Then it took even longer to retrieve it from the river, turn it over, and bring it back up on the landing. The inside of the vehicle was caked with mud and silt. Keep in mind this is a river, and the night before, the gates upstream at Watts Bar Dam had been open, so water was running, which likely contributed to this condition. As you can see from the photos of the vehicle and in the information in the report, the driver's side window was all the way down. The front passenger window was partly down. The windows in the back of the car were partly down as well, but keep in mind there's a cage between the front seat and the back seat and bars that prevent persons in custody from getting out through the windows. Deputy Leonard's body was found in the water outside of the car. We can only speculate as to what measures or efforts he may have taken to attempt to help Tabitha Smith. As I said, the windows were partly down. We do not know if he did that electronically with the window switches, perhaps while the car was sinking into the water, or if it was the force of pulling the car out of the water with a large amount of the mud on the inside, sucking or pulling against the windows that caused enough pressure to bring them down. The car was turned upside down in the water. The front of the car was touching the bed of the river, and the back of the car was floating near the top with the trunk open. As I stated at the outset, the autopsy reports state that both Leonard and Smith died as a result of drowning. There was no other trauma. We've already mentioned the blood test results that showed Tabitha Smith with methamphetamine and THC in her system, but the cause of death was drowning, not due to any drug intoxication. It is hard to even imagine the last few minutes of life that both Leonard and Smith endured in that water. We have tried to use all investigative means to get to the answers to know how this tragedy occurred. Deputy Leonard's phone and his personal GPS device provide the most concrete information. Still, we can only speculate as to the factors that caused him to drive into the river. It appears to be a combination of factors that came together and led to this horrific accident was fatal to both Deputy Leonard and Tabitha Smith. The reports are available on the website created for this purpose by Chat Creative. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation files are confidential by state statute. However, our reports, the THP CERT report, and the autopsies are part of the material on the website. My office does not have any more material or records. It is all on the website. I encourage you to please respect the victims and their families in your use and treatment of this material. The material does constitute public records, but common decency should dictate your use of the material, especially photos that may be sensitive in nature.